Record. Hi, everybody, and welcome. We've got Sandy Glenn and Carolyn Greenfield. I am Paul Golden. They will introduce themselves. I'm an advocate as well as a clinical specialist in newborn and maternal healthcare globally. So I've worked in various countries. Now, what's really interesting, we've got a legal case in the USA and similar situations happen in other countries. So I'll ask Sandy and Carolyn to explain a little bit what the case is, why they took it, and what the impact is on them and others. So over to either of you. Who wants to go first? How about you, Sandy?
I'll be happy to. So we've had some difficulty with NARM, the North American Registry of Midwives, and their ability or willingness to follow policies. As many of you may know, they have had a recent change in board, but the new board doesn't seem to be going back and following NARM's policies either. So they have removed from us our credential without due process, claiming to be a private organization and claiming that they don't have to follow the administrative practices, which is untrue. And so our credentials as midwives and preceptors have been removed from us, and we have been posted publicly on their website as being sanctioned. And me personally, I never got a hearing. And to my knowledge, there was no hearing. So, and we have approached them and their accreditation organization for a couple of years now with really very little response from them. So we're moving forward to correct this and hopefully correct it in a way that benefits everyone as we all are growing as midwives and as NARM needs to accommodate their policies, and the new board needs to kind of
Thank
catch up.
you. And what do you think will happen? You've got a legal action. Can you say what the main causes of action are and how you think that's going to help?
Well, the cause of action, if I'm understanding your question, is they have removed our credentials without any due process. So we're
Yeah.
asking for them back. Um, and, we're asking that our names be removed from the citation list and that the credentials be renewed to us.
Fantastic. I really applaud you for standing up and taking action. Let's hear from Carolyn. If you'd like to introduce what's your work base and how has this affected you? Can you work in any area or is it, how is it for you, Carolyn?
My name is Carolyn Greenfield. I live in Connecticut in the United States. I have been practicing as a midwife for 5 years. I originally obtained my certified CPM, certified professional midwife credential through NARM. And I have been practicing for about 3 years. When I had been presented from NARM, I got some complaints, 2 complaints. And so there was a grievance committee. And so this grievance committee consisted of the board members, probably about 6 of them. And so I went through the process of having hearings taken, and the board had determined that I should be taken my CPM suspended and required me to be supervised by another midwife, which was very stringent, very difficult to follow it. They didn't allow me to go and work in another practice. They said I had to be supervised. So I went and tried to find someone and was unable to do that. And so they just ultimately revoked my CPM and posted it on their website. There was no appeal offered to me in writing. And so Sandy and I got together and we pursued as much as we could through NCCA to, remedy this through NARM, but NARM did not participate
Could you
and said that
clarify what NCCA is?
so that's the Institute for Credentialing Excellence. It's an organization that credentials NARM.
Yeah, so they're above
NARM,
NARM
um,
or not?
Sandy, are they? They're overseeing NARM, and NARM has to report to them every year.
There's a lot of confusion about what is actually accredited through NCCA. Eventually, NCCA sent me a letter stating that NARM was not even credentialed to qualify preceptors, and therefore they wanted out of this complaint process and appeal process. So it took them well over a year to even recognize or to tell us what their role was with NARM. But in the end, NARM is not qualified according to, not credentialed according to NCCA to qualify preceptors.
So perhaps they're working outside their remit or their powers, and it doesn't really look like anyone's regulating them. And maybe that's what this court case will test the law to see what's required. And I understand in both of your cases, nobody died, there's no harm. In fact, you can have malicious or vexatious complaints for any reason by a client or by anyone else. And that needs due process so you can have a defense. If you can't have a defense, it certainly fails the due process, the fair process. In Europe and the Commonwealth, other countries, we tend to use the word fair process. In the USA, they use the words due process. It's the same thing. So could you potentially have a case against this NCCA, depending on the outcome of the NARM case?
I think we have a good case against NCCA. A year they collected all of the evidence. And then at the end of all of that, they sent us a chain letter. We both got the same letter. The letter didn't apply to either one of us. The letter actually was talking about me being a CPM, and I am not a CPM. I'm a licensed midwife. It's a higher credential in South Carolina. So, they claimed, yes, NARM is accredited through us. This is the complaint process. This is how you go about getting an appeal. And then, on the last day, they said, oh, never mind. That's not us. They're not accredited. So, a year of our life was taken up by them.
Exactly. The bureaucracy that can be a bit crazy does impact on people's lives. Not only yours, but I imagine your clients have fewer choices, or some even other midwives would be concerned about their practice being scrutinized by the bureaucracy that is unaccountable. So what impact do you think it has on clients' choices for particularly home birth?
Well, there's never enough midwives. There's so many people that come to us. We would like to take more. We would like to be more available. We'd like to have more time to bill insurance and take everybody's Medicaid. And when we're spending all of our time with this silliness, taking us away from the people who need us most, not, to me and for the birthing center, they've inhibited our ability to train more midwives. And there were midwives in process of being trained that NARM has just paused their career without even asking them. So, we've got clients that need more help. I can only be in one place at a time. And we have had to pause that entire process for NARM, who cannot even figure out what their policies are currently.
So it's quite unclear, isn't it? I've been helping you with the legal paperwork, and it's no response from NARM, no clear guidelines. They don't seem to really know what the case is about. They've just gone with the allegations. Somebody said something bad about you. It's probably true. We're going to stop some of your practice. Is that, if I've got anything wrong? I saw, Carolyn, you were nodding as Sandy was describing this.
Yes. In my case, they were these long grievance hearings, and I was not allowed an attorney, not allowed any witnesses. The client themselves had witnesses that they were able to bring forward. And I was given like a barrage of questions, interrogation, without any defense, without an attorney present. So
could you cross-examine their witnesses?
I'm sorry?
Were you able to question and cross-examine their witnesses?
No, I was not. Because they spoke and gave their case, and they were questioned by the midwives and then left the meeting.
Right.
Left it. I was forbidden to speak to them at all.
So we talk about due process. It doesn't sound like common sense. Of course, even in the playground, kids are going to have both sides of the story. And here we are with the profession, and you can't hear your side of the story.
They didn't even have a process for myself and told me in an email that they were building it from scratch, creating it. So I think they were just arbitrarily going along and didn't know what they were doing.
Maybe the court case will help them. Have you had an acknowledgement that they've been served with the papers?
The notification of summons has not been returned yet, although it was sent via email. So they do have it. We just don't have it in wet ink yet, but they have been served.
And I understand the clock is ticking. I think they have 21 days. Is that correct, to file a defense?
21 days from the time that they accept the paper copy.
Right.
So they have already accepted the email copies. So those are in their hands.
So I think we might need a really good follow-up in 21 days or so to look at what their defense is, if they even have one. And if they don't, they get judgment entered against them by default, which, when we're looking for clarity, I'm not sure if that really helps, but it does give power back to the individual midwives and groups of midwives. I understand that you're both working independently. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'm a licensed midwife. I've been a licensed midwife for 25 years, and I operate within a licensed birthing center. So there are quite a few regulations that we have to follow. But the most concerning part to me is this isn't the first time that a NARM complaint has affected my business. So being the operator of a birthing center, there was another midwife who delivered a baby in my building. And the argument for my case, again, I don't know what the complaint was. They would not tell me. But they had asked me to sign what they were calling a confidentiality agreement. All of their policies say that a confidentiality agreement is we're not going to share private patient client information. Well, nobody has a problem with that. But they throw what I was calling a gag order. It's really kind of a suppression clause in this confidentiality agreement, which is nowhere in their policies. And it says that you will never discuss not just what happened in the meeting, but NARM's actions. So it's closed doors. And that's during the events and then thereafter. So here I am operating a birthing center, responsible for that birthing center. I have contracted other midwives to come in and deliver babies. I was actually even at this birth. And the poor midwife who has had a complaint filed against her is not allowed to tell me what it is or what's happening. And then the client got the ability to appeal, so she had to go to get a second hearing. It took up 3 years of her life before they dropped that. So when they came to me and asked me to sign the suppression clause, I had already researched. It's not in their policies. So the entire argument with me came down to this, what they were calling a confidentiality contract, which according to their policies does not apply to a student preceptor complaint. They did eventually break their own confidentiality and tell me which student this was, who turns out wasn't even one of my students, but somebody who had applied. So, to me, it is very upsetting that when you get a hearing, then you are placed up under this suppression clause. Open door policies have to exist when you are in charge of someone's livelihood. It cannot be a secret. And who wants to be a part of an organization that has secrets like that anyway?
So I'm thinking maybe Carolyn wants to add something as we draw this slightly towards a close. But basically, in some countries, we've got over-regulation. Others, we've got under-regulation. In the middle would be right touch regulation. And it sounds like it's a bit of a fiasco with North America. I'm also looking at cases in Brazil, South America, and in Europe and even Russia. But tragically, some countries, they push these cases even into the criminal arena, and somebody's not allowed a defense in your case. Imagine that in a criminal situation, if you're not really allowed a defense, then we get wrongful convictions and people go even to jail. So accountability and transparency in our regulators is so essential, important. When it's not happening, it's really good to challenge it the way you're doing it legally, but also sometimes politically, if there's any appetite. And a lot of politicians are really not interested. But I wonder if you've got something to add, Carolyn, as we've probably just got a few more minutes.
Well, throughout this whole process, which, I had my CPM revoked January 24th, 2024. I've noticed a real drastic decrease in my clientele. I've been smeared all over social media locally with the midwives because all they're looking at is my name on the NARM website and saying that, without any explanation. So it's really affected me privately, in my family and my practice and even my clients because and I am a licensed midwife. I have been able to maintain my license. It is in Vermont. Throughout the United States, some states license CPM, so they are involved in the governmental level. I did obtain my Vermont license because Connecticut doesn't have licensure here. So the NARM themselves came into my state to, oversee this thing. And I just think it's just very unfair.
Can I ask you both a final question? If somebody else out there watching this is thinking, even in another country, that they've been overregulated, they didn't have a fair opportunity to defend themselves, what would you say to them about taking action? Is it worth it? Does it cost a lot? Can you do it yourself? Those kind of things, fairly quickly. Carolyn, you may as well continue.
Yeah, when I met you, you had said to me that I can file a lawsuit myself. And so that's what we've done. And I really appreciate your input and guidance throughout this process. And yeah, it's definitely doable.
Got to be in it to win it is how I think. How about
Yeah.
you, Sandy?
Well, I've been in this for a good long while, and our local health department has been after midwives for a while. And in the early days, I hired attorneys, but you get thick skin and you learn things. And what I've learned is that when you become active in your local legislation, you become quite powerful. So we have legislators at our state house who were born at home. But we didn't know that until we went down there and surveyed them. So we send out surveys, we have midwife days, we introduce bills. And it is amazing to me how many of them are actually on our side, but they didn't know we had a struggle. So we have now found our friends, and of course, every few years they're re-electing new friends. But you really do have a very strong voice when you go down and knock on your local legislator's door.
Yes. I think it is about political solutions. I was in Eastern Europe, and a really wonderful holistic obstetrician is in the parliament. And it's great to have that voice. And other countries, it's lack of knowledge. And people get angry that the politicians are doing X, Y, Z and they want A, B, C. But it's up to us to educate them. And even people that challenge us or might think is an enemy, we have to just educate them, giving them information. But that takes time and it's tiresome. So sometimes it's quicker to go to court because you guys spent a couple of years trying to be heard. There isn't anyone to listen to you. It looks like there's nobody running the show. So by going to court, people get a fixed thing like 2, 3, 4 weeks. They have to respond and reply to the court, not to you. And that's where the shift comes. It's not about you and the other party. It's about the state. And this impacts on the whole public and public safety and choices and childbirth, all of it. So I hope that this is of interest to the viewers and welcome comments and look to follow up perhaps in 3 or 4 weeks' time to see what's the progress with the case. And hopefully at some point you've won the case. As I say, often it's not about the outcome, it's about being in the process of things, to be in the now. But to get a good result, or even the process could create change that's positive and helpful. What do you think of this, Sandy?
I mean, I'm always excited to promote change. I love midwifery. I feel like everyone needs to have the option of choosing a midwife if it is right for them. And, this has been a huge part of what I do as just a person. This is part of me. So I am very hopeful that NARM takes this to heart, repairs their flaws, and propels us forward, because that's where we need to be.
Thank you very much, Sandy. And any final words from you, Carolyn?
I concur with what Sandy said. I'm hoping that this will usher in changes for this organization. It's been around for 30 years, and I believe that it has the potential to correct things and make things right for midwives who are going through this, and to create policies and procedures that were lacking in the past.
Good. Absolutely fantastic. You're both taking action. Thank you so much. And thank you for
Thank you.
watching.
Thank you.